Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer. Today on our 2019 Honda CR-V, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver. But before we do that, why don't we kind of check it out and make sure that this will be the right hitch for your Honda. When it comes to the CR-V, these are really popular vehicles, and I can see why. It's an awesome SUV, you know, and very capable. People use these to do a ton of different things with, whether, you know, you're pulling a small trailer around, you know, maybe you got some kayaks or a wave runner or camper, whatever the case may be. Or, you know, people also use a lot of different accessories with them. You know, I see the CR-V a lot of times with a bike rack on the back of it, occasionally a cargo carrier, and just about everything else. So having a hitch back here just makes sense. You know, it's really going to open up your opportunity on what you can use your Honda for. With that said, you know, because of all those reasons, there's quite a few hitches actually available for the CR-V, and you want to pick the one out that's going to make the most sense for you. Honestly, out of all of them available, this one's probably my favorite, and I say that for a few different reasons. One of them being the way it's going to look. I think it has a really nice appearance to it. Another reason is what you're actually, or how you're going to be able to use it. You know, it has good weight capacities and really good clearance, and so it's going to work for a lot of different things. So why don't we just kind of elaborate on that a little bit and, you know, make sure that this one will work for you. So I talked about the appearance. I think it looks really good. For the most part, it's going to be completely hidden. You know, really the only thing you're going to be able to see is the receiver tube opening there. And I also like the finish of it. It has the carbide matte black. And to me, it almost looks factory. You know, it kind of matches the plastic here on your back bumper. So I think it does a good job of kind of blending in. Another important thing to me, at least, is the fact that it gives us some really good clearance. So not only ground clearance, because, you know, the only thing you're going to be able to see is this little piece here, and it's going to sit up nice and tight against the bottom, but also bumper clearance. So if we look, the end of the receiver tube is going to be, I mean, pretty much flush with our back bumper. And what that is going to allow you to do is take any of those folding type accessories, put them in that upright position, and not have to worry about them hitting the back of your Honda. So with this being a Class 3 hitch, it is going to have that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. This is a super common size, and a lot of different things are going to be able to work with it. At the end, there's a reinforced collar for a little bit of extra support, and it is going to use that standard 5/8 pen. Now keep in mind, a pen and clip do not come included. If you need one though, not a huge deal. You can always grab one here at etrailer. And the safety chain openings are going to be a loop style. You know, they're pretty good size and will allow us to use just about any size hook that you might have. There are a few popular questions that I do want to address, and that is in regards to what models, you know, this hitch is going to work with. And this one will work with all of them, whether you have an all-wheel drive like we have here today, your front-wheel drive, you know, your gasoline and hybrid models. It's going to work with all of them. So, you know, regardless which one you have, you'll be in good shape there. Something else that I want to talk about too is using your hands-free liftgate assist if your Honda has that feature. Unfortunately today ours doesn't come equipped with it, so I can't actually show you. But in the past, I've put this hitch on, and it does still work, right? You just have to kick your foot to either side of the hitch to get it to open. With that said, though, some people say they do run into some issues with it not working and things like that. It sounds like that's kind of on the rare side, but if that does happen to you and you really want to retain that feature, Honda actually offers a more or less a relocation bracket, so it'll move that sensor around a little bit to clear trailer hitches and allow that feature to still work. So chances are really, really good. You put the hitch on, that lift gate will still work like it should. If not, you know, if you're that unlucky person, there's a solution for you. You can get that relocation bracket from Honda, and everything will open up. As far as the Hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have a 525-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating, and that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. So pretty high number, actually, and should be able to use just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you'd want to, for example. As far as Hitch's maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 3,500 pounds, and that's going to be the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch, so the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. I do always like to suggest, though, you know, it's never a bad idea just to grab your Honda's owner's manual. That way you can make sure your CRV can pull that much weight safely. And with that said, if you are going to be pulling a trailer around, you do want the lights to work on it. You know, that way people know what's going on. You'll be safe and legal. And to accomplish that, you can always grab some trailer wiring. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you can use these to help figure out which hitch-mounted accessories to get. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 14 inches. So if you do plan on pulling a trailer, chances are pretty good you can get a ball mount that has a slight rise in the shank. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 2 inches, and you can use that measurement to figure out exactly if any of those folding accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without contacting the back of your Honda. But other than that, at the end of the day, you know, nice hitch. If I had a CRV and I was wanting to put a trailer hitch on it, this would probably be the one that I would go with. As far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. You're going to have to lower your exhaust down a little bit, so you just pry off some hangers to do that. And once that's down, you have quite a bit of room to kind of work and get the hitch up there, so really shouldn't fight you too much. If you want to see how that's done, feel free to stick around. We'll go ahead and install the hitch together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here underneath the back of our CRV, and what we need to do is lower our exhaust down some. That way it'll give us the room that we need to actually get our hitch up. Before we lower it though, I like to take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way we can kind of control how fast and how far we let the exhaust come down. To get the exhaust lowered, we're going to have 3 isolator hangers that we need to remove. So one just like this on each side of our vehicle, and then one more towards the middle. But to get these off, you can spray them down with some soapy water, some penetrating oil, whatever you got. And then we're just going to take a pry bar and pry those ends off, because that's what's holding our exhaust up. So I already did this for the other side, and then we can come here to the middle. So with this one, I don't really have a great angle here, but we'll make it work. Doesn't really matter which side you pry off, whichever one's the easiest. I'm using that soapy water, and it really does go a long way. So that worked pretty good. I'll pull that off, and then we should be able to loosen up our strap and then let the exhaust come down some. Now if you look on the bottom of our frame rail, we can get our hardware in place. And so we're gonna have 2 attachment points. We're gonna be using this one and this one. And it's gonna be set up the same on the other side of our vehicle. So from this point on, anything we do to this side, we're also gonna repeat to the other side, because it'll be set up the same way. But with that said, what you're gonna do is take the coil end of your fish wire, run it through the attachment point, through that larger opening, and then you can take the spacer block and the smaller carriage bolts, thread those on, push it on through, drop it down. Make sure that bolt comes down all the way and kind of feel it lock into that square opening there on your spacer block. So we'll grab our other fish wire. Do the same thing. Get that threaded on. Pushed up into place and drop down. So at this point we need to trim out part of our fascia, and so I went ahead and marked that out. There is some measurements in your instructions. Make this a little bit easier though, I pulled out this trim panel fastener. I'm gonna pull this one out too. So with these, you just take a flat blade screwdriver and a pry underneath the head. You can pull that out. And that'll just give us some more working room here, you know. And make sure when you do this, feel it behind there, make sure you don't have any wires or anything like that, which we're in good shape. And I'm just going to use a pair of snips here to cut this material out. You can also use a Dremel tool, combination of both. Sometimes even a sharp utility knife can do the trick, which I may use to score this top part here, but we'll see. The reason we're doing this is to allow a little bit more room for our hitch. So we'll chew it up there, not a big deal. I'll come back with the razor edge and kind of clean everything up. So I got our edge cleaned up. I just took a razor knife and just kind of skimmed it. And this underbody panel, I believe in the past I run into some issues with that kind of hitting and interfering a little bit too. So I figured make it easy on us. We'll just cut out a little bit of that portion too, just so we have a clear opening there. So again, I'll just grab my snips here and get that little piece out of the way. Now at the next set of hands, you can take our hitch, get it into position. So you're going to want to take the corresponding pull wires and put them in the appropriate holes in the hitch there. You can lift this up, and while we're lifting, we're gonna have to kind of pull back on our fascia. And get the hitch up there. And we should be able to pull on our wires here and get the bolts to drop through. And once they're dropped through, you can remove the fish wire, take the flange nut, and get at least one started on each side, hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself. So once the hitch is in place, you come here to your tow hook. You're going to have a large carriage bolt. Just slide that through, a big spacer block, and a flange nut. So we'll get that started, and then once we have this started, we can grab these pins here that we took out and just simply push those back into place. So once you have all of your hardware in place and hand tight, and come back and snug it down. So for these bolts here, or nuts rather, you're going to use an 11/16 size socket. And then for the one here in the center, you can use either a 19mm or a 3/4 inch socket. Both of them will work just fine. Once all of your hardware is snug, we're gonna completely tighten it using a torque wrench. You can find that torque spec in the instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can grab one here at etrailer, or a lot of times go to your local auto parts store and they'll have one there available to rent. Something that I did that you guys can do too if you want to is I actually painted our hardware black. Kind of just helps it blend in a little bit. You can actually take the box that the hitch comes in and cut it up and kind of cover everything up here. That way when you're painting, you're not getting overspray everywhere. So, you know, it looks a little bit better. But with that said, that done, now we can simply just rehang our exhaust. So to rehang it, you want to spray it down again and line it up. And these you can just do by hand. So we'll get them on there. They're pretty tight, so spraying them down really goes a long way. So I got the other side done already. That leaves us with just one more here in the center. And with the exhaust supporting itself again, we can go ahead and remove our strap. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Honda CR-V.